This will be the third and final video in the head-to-head. So the videos are, this is number 3 of 3, and this is the test of the comparison of the Orbea Gain M20i. So I'm doing exactly the same route as I did on the track. It was actually 3 weeks ago that I did the track one. I've had quite a lot of a bit of a busy time and a lot of computer issues in between, so I haven't been able to get out and do the test. But there we go. It's going to be an interesting one. It's very windy today, as usual, in Shaftesbury. And this is not a normal time that I would go out, so the roads are going to be a bit busier. But it's only a 15-mile route. 15-20 miles, I think it was. It's exactly the same route as I did before, anyway. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. So it's pretty breezy today, so that's why I've got the wind cheater on there, on the front. So we're heading towards zigzag again, same as last time. Gorgeous day though, even though it is windy. So for anybody that hasn't seen it already, this is my Orbea Gain M20i. So these editions come with Di2 carbon wheels. It's all carbon, the frame's all carbon, seat posts and everything. So it's not top of the range. There is the only difference between this and the top of the range M10i is the Ultegra group set. So this is on the M10i you get Durace, obviously. Couldn't quite stretch to that, but I don't think it makes a massive amount of difference anyway. So currently I've got the bike in just the green level, which is the same as I had with the Trek. So we'll go down, we'll turn left towards zigzag, and then that was the point where I put it up to medium. Okay, so I've just put it into the medium mode, amber light, and yeah, definitely not quite as strong as the Trek, I do believe.
So the couple just ahead of me on the tandem, they are actually riding it's an electric tandem with 3 500 watt hour batteries on it. So I do go past them now, but they catch me up later very quickly, not surprisingly.
It's a great way to travel, that's for sure. Okay, so yeah, definitely not. It's so hard to sort of pinpoint the difference. But yeah, I think this trek was definitely stronger up here. But this is what I'm used to. From my point of view with the Orbea gain, it's I can come up here, I can still put in some effort, but I know for me the important thing is my heart, and I know I'm getting enough assistance. I keep it at the bare minimum, although I'm not at the moment because we're in the strongest setting. Usually I ride in eco, so it's a bit of a treat for me, this. A bit busier today, that's for sure. Also, information wise, got a lot more information at my fingertips today because I've got this bike is obviously mine and it's all properly set up how I like it, so yeah. Apart from the fact, if I do have a disclaimer, came out in a bit of a rush because we've been to Bristol last night to see the Lion King, Disney's theatre production. Absolutely amazing. We've seen it before about 20 years ago, but our daughters kindly got it for me and my wife for Christmas, so all 5 of us went and watched the matinee yesterday, and then we went out for a meal and stayed over in a hotel overnight, so it was lovely. So we've only just got back from that, so I thought I must nip out and do this video. And so I don't normally come out this time of day. Usually it's 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm a bit of an early morning person. Anyway, here we are. We got a helicopter above. We've sort of done zigzag and we're going up over the rest of the hill now. Take a look at that if we can. Beautiful. Stunning.
So to my surprise, the couple on the tandem caught me up here, and the guy started to talk to me from behind, so that's who I'm about to talk to now. Yeah, quite amazing how quickly they got up that hill.
So how much battery have you actually got?
Sorry?
How much battery is on there? It's quite a bit, I suppose, is it?
We've got 2 batteries in one in the pannier for spare.
Oh, okay.
So in case there's any range.
Yeah. I have got a range extender for this one. I don't like using it if I can because it makes it so much heavier, but
Yeah.
which sort of matters because it's only a 250 watt battery on here.
We've got 3,500.
Have you? So my range anxiety is quite a lot more than yours.
To be honest, we always get fed up when we run out of battery anyway. So.
Yeah.
We're going to pull in so I can on the view.
Yeah. Well, nice to meet you. Yeah, and you. So we're turning right here. And right, so we must talk about this bike. It was a bit more complicated coming up there today because there was another bike, and so I actually didn't put it into the maximum power mode. I didn't really get a chance. I was but I don't normally need it, that's the thing. I'm quite comfortable just going up there without, which isn't the point today, so I will make sure that for the next big hill I will definitely put it in the rocket mode, as I refer to it. I'm hoping you can still hear me because I've got it's extremely windy, as it quite often is here. Lovely and warm, but I have got the wind cheater on here, so I'm hoping that you can still hear me. But yeah, so I've got this little thing on here. This clamp is just for popping my camera into. Gives you a bit of a different view. Talking of views, so it's not really many better days than today to come out for a cycle. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's about 25 degrees, I think. It's very, very warm, which is unusual. Right, so back to the bike. Back to the bike then. We've got this is your IWAT button here. I did explain it earlier, but at the moment it's in the medium setting. It's quite difficult to see at the moment because it's so bright today. So there's your red, then it goes white, which is completely off. So in the white mode there's no motor assistance at all. So then the first time you press it, it tells you what you're in, and then when you press it the second time, that'll change it up to the next one. So we're back into the medium again. And so my handlebars here, these are, I've talked about them a lot. These are the Prime Doyen aero bars, which don't come as standard. For as standard you just get the normal round ones. It's the only difference, an upgrade I've made. And to me it's an upgrade anyway. I much prefer these. Other than that, you've got your Ultegra discs, etc. Hydraulic discs, and 250 watt hour motor, battery, sorry. Yeah, what else do you say really? It just definitely feels, this doesn't have the comfort feel of the Trek. The Trek was ridiculously comfortable, but you trade in that for the racy feel, which I love. It's not everybody's cup of tea and not everybody's looking for it, but I am. I'm not quite ready for relaxed and comfortable just yet. The time will come, I'm sure. But it's not that it's uncomfortable, but it is, this particular model is quite stiff, and it's amazing. I mean, the handling is amazing. As you can tell, I'm really big fan of these bikes. But if we've got to talk downsides, which I should, Against the Trek, what you can't do, you can't change your wheels very easily. It is possible, of course, especially if you can buy another motor. The most efficient way to do it, if you wanted 2 sets of wheels, would be to have 2 motors, which is quite an expensive way of doing it. You've got to buy the motor, then you've got to have the wheel built as well. So it's not an easy process. It is possible, of course, but not an easy process. So that's one thing the Trek has got over the Orbea. The removal of the battery can be seen as a plus and a minus. I can understand if you're a commuter or you're somebody that lives in a flat or you've got limited space, then the ability to take the battery out as a security thing, then yeah, I can understand that. That's, you know, if you can take away the most expensive bit, you know, it might be a security thing, or it may be that where you store your bike, you don't have any power. Another plus point, you can take the motor and that, and you can plug it in at your office, at work. I mean, if you want to use their electric to charge your bike up, that would be another plus point. But equally, as with me, it was a plus point in my situation for the Orbea game, because I prefer the look. I prefer, even though you have got the downside of the look of the motor in the back wheel, but I think that is a price worth paying for a more normal looking frame. My frame doesn't look any different really. It's slightly fatter, but not a lot fatter than a regular bike, so that I liked. This is the long fast bit. I can tell you, I'm going to turn. Right, the motor is now off. Keep an eye on speed. I've got quite an incredible headwind. It's, again, not unusual on this bit. Now normally I go down on the drops here, but I didn't on the Trek, so I think I'll stay as I am. So yeah, about 19 miles an hour at the moment. Can't see it going up much with this headwind. Okay, so we got this nice little bit of flat. Well, I should be able to gather a bit of speed, hopefully. No motor assistance at the moment. So yeah, with no assistance at all. Obviously it would have cut off anyway, but I've got it in the white setting. Yeah, and it'll nip along at 25 on the flat with me on it anyway. Yeah, 26, there we go. Okay, so we just moved it up to amber setting now, second setting. I'll be glad to get off this road. It's a 50 mile an hour speed limit, but you wouldn't know. Nobody takes any notice. Cars whip along here at 80 mile an hour frequently, and this time of the day it's not somewhere I'm that comfortable being, really. Anyway, not far to go. I'm going to turn right and get out of the way, out of the nonsense. If you had a speed camera here today, you'd make a fortune. Okay, so we turned off. Now we're heading back down towards Minster. You've been here before with me many times. So yeah, back to the bike comparison. So I suppose the one thing I would say with these, when I used to have an Orbea game D50, and it's a great bike, but the one thing that mildly let it down was cable disc brakes. I was all excited about having disc brakes, and then quite disappointed when I realised they're no better than rim brakes. But the single, this is absolutely true, the single thing that blew me away about this bike was the hydraulic discs. They are, in the wet, phenomenal. I mean, they're phenomenal all the time, but there's not so much of a difference in the dry. But in the wet, just incredible. Yeah, can't fault them. They still are incredible. You don't have to touch them really. Yeah, they're just amazing. Anyway, I'll see you at the bottom of the hill. Just turned you around for a minute so you can see my ugly mug. Right, we're in Minster now. Not that this is about where I am today, this is just a video about the bike. So comparison wise, you really can't, I can't stress enough, there's quite a big difference between, not necessarily on the actual abilities of the bikes. There's definitely a difference in the strength. The Trek is stronger, that's for sure. The motor is yeah, it gives you more help, it really does, but the trade-off for that, I think, is weight and bike feel. If you want something, if you're looking for something that's just going to help you ride and get out, and you want as much assistance as you can while still riding a road style bike, then the Trek or the Fazua system is for you, I think. But if, like me, you're just dipping your toe in the e-bike world, really, I'm not, as much as it, I love my e-bike, and I wouldn't be cycling the way I am now without it. But I'd rather not have one, if I physically could do it, and that's why I believe the Orbea sort of, it's so hard to say. You still get the same amount of assistance, sort of. It just seems it's a bit more full on with the Trek. It's a bit more of a kick in the pants when you're on a hill, whereas the Orbea, I would say, without sounding too snobby, it's more refined. It definitely is. It just sort of glides in and out of the assistance levels. This on the X35 Plus anyway, I can't really talk. I mean, my X35 I used to have wasn't a massive amount of difference, although it was a little, not quite as smooth between the transitions between the different assistance levels. But at the moment anyway, I am in the medium setting and we're nipping along nicely. This is the first time I've ever compared two bikes, so it's very difficult to get the right words really, but I think if you could sort of narrow it down, I think the track is heavier, definitely. It's a bit more sort of a bit more brutal in the electric usage, so it feels more like an e-bike. That's what I'm trying to say. The Trek definitely feels like an electric bike, whereas the Orbea, you could be forgiven for forgetting that it is. I think that's probably my key phrase really for the whole thing. If there's no mistake in the Trek is an e-bike when you're riding it. I'm not saying when you look at it, you could quite easily, if you don't know bikes very well, you could quite easily be forgiven for thinking it's not. And the same with the Orbea, and that's kind of what they're designed for really. But yeah, the Trek, there's no mistaking when you're on it, it's an e-bike. Okay, so when it comes to information available, obviously this is an M20i, so it's got the remote DI2, so I can adjust my Garmin just from up here. So there's a little button in there where my finger, you have to excuse my finger, but so you can press it that way and it tells you these are all the pages that I choose. Weirdly, today of all days, I've forgotten my heart rate monitor. But yeah, so that tells you e-bike battery, estimated travel range. I'd kind of take that with a pinch of salt a bit, really. You have a speed, I mean obviously with Garmin you can make it up to be whatever you want it to be, so but on here you've got your assistance mode there. If I press the plus, up it goes. If I press the minus, back down again. It takes a second to get through, and down again. And then if we go down again, that's no assistance at all. So yeah, I don't know what else to say really, apart from the fact that they're both cracking bikes. I mean, if you can't make your mind up, that's totally understandable if that's where you are at the moment, or if you're wondering if you've made the right decision, if you bought one. There's really, it's just a decision, it's just an individual preference, I think. Des has got his, he loves his, he's totally happy with it, and in the same way so am I. Absolutely love my bike, and really happy with how it is. So I mean, it's just an individual preference. I think you can try and add up all the ifs and buts and do's and don'ts. There's a lot of differences between the two bikes and the two systems. I know for a fact, if we're trying to look at the more negative side, I guess, of e-bikes, then they do go wrong. Quite a lot of them seem to go wrong. But like anything, if you add mechanics, if you add electrics and motors, and there's a lot more to go wrong. But yeah, if you think, excuse me, Jesus, turn around here a minute. So yeah, if you think that they're not going to go wrong at times, then you know, you might be lucky. I've been fairly lucky. I haven't had an awful lot go wrong with either of my e-bikes that I've had. but they do go wrong. There's an awful lot of people that will disagree with me because obviously with my Orbea Game Owners Club Facebook page, we see a lot. I mean, people only go to a lot of the time go to those sort of pages when they've got something to complain about or something's wrong or they're trying to fix something. That's what those pages are for. So, you know, but I also know the Fazua systems are just the same. They both have issues, and it's just the nature of the beast, I think. They're electronic, you know, there's moving parts, there's electrics, there's water. So yeah, don't expect them not to go wrong. That's my unless you live in a really dry country, but even then, especially in the UK, I think the water side of things and temperatures aren't perfect for e-bikes. They are today. This battery will go on forever. I'm surprised it's not charging itself. It's so warm today. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on, so I'll stop. So we are 16, just over 16 miles in. Bit of a hill here, so I've got it in the medium mode, and I don't know if you can hear it. This is the bit where I commented on the sound of the track. It seemed quieter. I'm not so sure. I don't think so. I don't think there's much in it. No, I don't think there's much in it at all. So just coming up in the distance, we've got Kit Hill, which is in the other video. It's the piece that I was quite surprised how quickly it nipped up there on the track. So this will be a nice comparison. I am going to stick it in the rocket mode, red mode, third setting, whatever you want to call it. So there we go. This is everything it's got. So this is rocket mode in sport setting on the app. So this is 100% assistance, and I just felt it gently drop in then, and that's, I know I keep banging on about it, but that is the main difference I can fathom between the two, is the way in which the assistance dropped in and out. See, there we go, that's Kit Hill. Yeah, it's interesting. You see, the Orbea will give you the assistance, but you can't do it without some input. So, it won't really, you can sit back and let the bike do the work to a certain extent, but it works much better if you give a bit and the bike gives a bit, which I didn't feel with the track. It seems to, the track I think just seems to give the power no matter what. But I might be wrong, I'm just saying how it feels. I don't know technically whether I'm right, and I'm a teeny bit biased as well. Anyway, next big hill coming up, so I'm just going to gather myself. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, this is the start of the climb into Shaftesbury. It's 420 feet, averaging 6% gradient. So we're in rocket mode for this. Whether you can hear the motor or not, now I'm being pulled along, and I had the same experience on the trek, so that's interesting. I thought that was sort of, so I'm kind of holding myself back because I don't want to give too much too early, and the bike is saying let's go. So that's interesting. They do both do similar in that respect. Those of you that already ride Orbeas will know what I mean. So if you back off and you don't put in the effort, but you're still spinning your legs and the motor is working harder than you're pedaling, it's almost like you're being swept along a little bit. So this is where I'm starting to have to work. It's really steep. I'll tell you how steep in just a second when my computer catches up. So it just gets steeper and steeper. We're at 5, just steeper than that, 7, 8, 9, is that it? 10. So I'm working relatively hard now. 13% that went up to. So I don't know if you can hear, in the rocket mode, the Orbea does sing quite a bit. When it's under load anyway. So yeah, I'm going up. I've just changed up in exactly the same place as I did on the trek. So I think they're very similar, unless the times come out massively different. So I will be able to tell thanks to Strava. So we're still at 7%. And it's roasting hot. Okay, so I can give you the percentages of the hill up here. Might not be able to speak all the way up. It's pretty steep, this one. Okay, so with the trek I had the 11:34, which you can tell. So now with the Orbea, this is hard. Just coming to the top. I would say that was definitely harder on the Orbea than on the Trek. Now, whether that's because the Trek has 50-34, 11-34 could also be a factor, so it's not really a fair comparison, but it did feel an awful lot stronger on the Trek. So there you go. So that's bulk of the ride done now. So basically, in conclusion, if you're after, I mean, the Trek do's and don'ts is heavier. They're both reasonably sort of the same sort of price. It's difficult to assess that because Des had the Di2 put on his after. It wasn't, he didn't buy it like it, so you can't really compare the two. But you know, they're very similar. The Trek is definitely heavier, but it's stronger. It's a stronger motor in my opinion. But coupled with that, it's a less it's a less finessed engine management, as about as politely as I can put it. If you want something that's a bit more of a racy bike, then I can only talk about the M20i. I'm not talking about the aluminium bikes because they're great gravel bikes and whatnot, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, comparing the two, I think the Orbea wins as far as if you want something to be as close to a racing bike with an electric motor as you can get, then it's definitely the Orbea. But if you want something that's possibly as powerful as you can get within that weight region and still being a electric bike, then the Trek's for you.